And he types it all out, and it's full of spellings and misspellings, no checking or anything like that. He's a 16-year-old nerd writing stories for his friends. He never expected to be sent around and read by everybody. So this really, really sucks. Our job here is we're going to go down the panel, and Leona's going to be our judge. She's going to read this. And as we go down, we will keep reading this. We have to read it exactly as it's written. If a word is misspelled, we have to pronounce it like it's misspelled. It's harder than it looks. When we mess up, we are forced to get out in front and act the story out for your entertainment.
This works better in a larger room.
It works better in a larger room.
Like intimate acting.
But we will do the best we can. We want to get into it because we only have so much time. I am honored that Peter David is here to join us. One of my favorite authors. Yay, Peter! And Gail Martin at the end, another one of my favorite authors.
And me.
And Leona Wisoker is going to be our Wisoker. I always mispronounce that. See, because you read it instead of say it.
Yes.
All right.
And if anybody's interested, afterwards, I do have a copy of the facsimile of the actual original fanzine with the awful art and everything, so you can get an idea of just how awful the printing actually was.
We're going to skip some parts of it because there's no way we're going to get through it in 1 hour anyway. So I'm skipping some of the sections that are just boring.
I'm also going to add in a quick note that apparently the author blamed his editor for many of these mistakes.
Probably the editor killed himself right after he read the page.
The story is that the kid actually ended up getting a journalism degree and becoming a writer, a journalist type writer, and he was embarrassed by this thing. Come on, I was 16, give me a break. So he wasn't really happy about it, and he died a few years ago, sadly, knowing that we were making fun of him, and he wasn't really that happy about it. So I want to make sure everyone understands that.
This was a very young kid's very
Yes, understand it. I hate to make fun of the guy.
Mine just sucked the fun right out of you.
Any of us wrote when we were 16.
That's right.
Laughing just as
yes,
hard.
exactly.
Are you kidding? They bring me to autograph.
I is immortalized.
Yes. Okay.
Actually, out of curiosity, how many here have never heard the Eye of Argon?
Oh, this is going to be good. All right.
Okay, now be gentle on the judging. Well, we had one judge that.
You elected me as a judge?
All right, here we go. All right, The Eye of Argon by Jim Thies. The weather-beaten trail wound ahead into the dust-wracked climes of the barren land which dominates large portions of the Norgolian Empire. Age-worn hoof prints smothered by the sifting sands of time shone dully against the dust-splattered crust of earth. The tireless sun casts its parching rays of incandescence from overhead, halfway through its daily revolution. Small rodents scampered about, occupying themselves in the daily accomplishments of their dismal lives. Dust sprayed over 3 heaving mounts in blinding clouds while they bore the burdensome cargoes of their struggling overseers. Prepare to embrace your creators in the Stygian haunts of hell, barbarian, gasped the first soldier. Only after you have kissed the fleeting steed of death, wretch, returned Grigner. Is that what we're going to pronounce it?
Grigner. G-R-I-G-N-R. He's missing the vowel in there somewhere.
He's reading the
A sweeping blade of flashing steel riveted from the massive barbarian's hide enameled shield as his rippling right arm thrust forth, sending a steel shot blade to the hilt into the soldier's vital organs. The disemboweled mercenary crumpled from his saddle and sank to the clotted sward, sprinkling the parched dust with crimson droplets of escaping life fluid.
Oh my God!
The enthused barbarian swooped about, his shock of fiery red hair tossing robustly in the humid air currents as he faced the attack of the defeated soldier's fellow in the arms. Damn you!
What?
There's no V in there.
Did I see the either?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's only 2 strikes?
Yeah, come on, get over it.
I was doing too good a job.
Exactly.
Let's see. I guess I'm Grignar, so otherwise I just will take turns more. That might be better.
We haven't done the winches yet, so
Damn you, barbarian! Shrieked the soldier as he observed his comrade in death. A gleaming scimitar smote a heavy blow against the renegade's spiked helmet, bringing a heavy cloud over the Ecordion's misting brain. Shaking off the effects of the pounding blow to his head, Grigner brought down his scarlet-streaked edge against the soldier's crudely forged halberd, clanging harmlessly to the left side of his opponent. The soldier stead whinnied as he directed the horse back from the driving blade of the barbarian. Grigner leashed his mount forward as the hoarsely piercing battle cry of his wilderness-bred race resounded from his grinding lungs. A twirling bay bounced harmlessly from the mighty thief's buckler as his rolling right arm cleft upward, sending a foot of blinding steel ripping through the Cimmerian's exposed gullet. A gasping gurgle from the soldier's writhing mouth as he tumbled to the golden sand at his feet and whirled agonizingly in his death ray. Grigner's emerald green orbs glared lustfully at the wild struggling before his chestnut swirled mouth. His scowling voice reverberated over the dying form in a tone of mocking mirth.
Give me my line.
I think this is a corrected version.
I didn't say, I couldn't get any mistakes yet.
I kept saying, I think you printed off a version that's not
These are
corrected.
the ones that, these have,
There's nowhere near as many mistakes in this one.
Yeah, that's a version that's been corrected.
Oh man! Curse you, editors! Curse you!
You fucked up twice on a corrected version?
You know, you really should only say that after you've read it.
Oh, that's still funny. Sorry.
Yeah.
it's coming up, trust me.
Okay. The trek to Gorsum, did I miss something? Reining his weary mount ahead. No, let me back up.
Already on a
Sorry, we
rough.
got talking. His scowling voice reverberated over the dying form in a tone of mocking mirth. You city-bred dogs should learn not to antagonize your better. Reining his weary mount ahead, Grigner resumed his journey to the Nergolian city of Gorzan, hoping to discover why women and adventures to boil the wild blood coursing through his savage veins. The trek to Gorzum was forced upon Grigner when the soldiers of Kryn were leashed upon him by a faithless concubine he had wooed. His scandalous activities throughout the Cimmerian city had unleashed throngs of havoc and uproar among its refined patricians.
That's one.
Leading him to tack a heavy reward over his head. He had barely managed to escape through the back entrance of the inn he had been guzzling in, as a squad of soldiers pounced upon him. Pounced. After
I see nobody pouncing.
After spilling a spout of blood from the leader of the mercenaries as he dismembered one of the officer's arms, he retreated to his mount to make his way towards Gorzum, rumored to contain hordes of plunder and many young witches for any man who has the backbone to wrest them away.
This is getting too easy.
It is! This is an easy
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Besides which, we also would only read a certain distance. You've got to write and then you join in.
I know, exactly. So when there's no mistake.
Part of the problem is that some of the mistakes here are like capitalizations and miscapitalizations that you can't pronounce.
Right.
The only mistake I saw reading other than the was swivel.
Yes. We'll do
Which I got.
Arriving after dusk in Gorzum.
You can just make new mistakes.
Yeah. Grigner descended down a dismal alley, reining his horse before a beaten tavern. The red-haired giant strode on a beaten tavern.
That's where knows its place.
Yeah. The red-haired giant strode into the dimly lit hostelry, reeking of foul odors. And the air was heavy with shocking fumes. Shocking. Spewing from smoldering torches.
Yeah, it's one word, smoldering torches.
Encased within the dens, earthen-packed walls. Tables were clustered with groups of drunken thieves and cutthroats, tossing dice